Hello, welcome to another video in this Airbnb Ruby on Rails series. And in last video, we implemented the backend for our review system, but we haven't yet connected it with our frontend. There's a reason why I stopped that video there, because before going into implementing and showing that review here, we first need to understand one problem. So let's open TL row. Yeah, so we have a lot of properties, right? So let's say we have, okay, it's really bad. Okay, let's say we have property 1, okay, similar to that property 2 and property 3. Okay, now each one of these properties have multiple reviews. Okay, so let's say P1 has 10 reviews. Okay, uh, P2 also has 10 reviews and P3 also has 10 reviews. Let's assume that. Okay, now if we want to show average rating here, in the current implementation, whatever we have, what was our last migration? We created this reviews table, right? And now what we can do is we can go through our controller, sorry, not controller, model, property, and in that we can access this reviews model, which will give all the reviews for this particular property. So as per our example, this will be 10 reviews, and then it will calculate average rating for all those uh, average rating for this property, right? So this will give us average rating. Okay, so to calculate this one average rating for P1, they the database will get accessed like first time they will access the property P1. So 1 plus 10 times we will have to access the database for 10 reviews. So it's 11 queries. Okay, uh, this is known as 1 plus n or n plus 1 query. Okay, n is number of reviews, so 10 in this case, and 1. Okay, similar to that, for again 10 reviews are here, so again we will have to do one query to get the property first, and then 10 queries for reviews. Okay, same goes for n3. Okay, now assume there are 1000 reviews, then it will be 1 plus 1000 and 1001, so on. So first thing, it's a lot of queries. We are doing a lot of work to get average rating, right? Now, along with that, there is another issue, which is, let's say there are, let's go to this side, and let's say there are 10,000 visitors for P1. Okay. Now, out of these 10,000, my assumption, it's just an assumption, that only 10 might have booked this property and will leave a review. Okay. 10 new reviews from these 10,000 visitors. Okay. So what happens is that only 10 times our reviews are changing, but for the rest of the 9,990 times, we are just showing the property. There is no change in reviews. So for example, if we go to Airbnb right now, we are seeing this property, it is showing 4.93, but the review count has not changed, the average rating has not changed, right? But even for showing this detail, our database will have to do these many operations, 1 plus 10. Okay. So I hope this makes sense that we are going through reviews again and again, even though it is not changing that frequently. And it will change like 10 times in 10,000. So it's too much work on our database. So what we can do is, to make it a bit simpler, let's add reviews count and rating to properties. Let me show you why. Okay. So again, I might be going in too much depth here, but let's go with this. Let's assume review 1 has 4 rating, review 2 has 5, review 3 has 3. Okay. So what will be the average review here? Average rating will be 4 plus 5 plus 3, 12. 12 divided by 3. 12 divided by 3, which is equals to 4. Okay. Now let's assume if there is another new rating, which is 5. Okay. Or let's say 4. Okay. Another, not, let's write 5 only just to make it a bit clear. So another new rating, which is 5. Now in this case, we have to update this average rating, which we have saved to our properties. Okay. Now, how can we update this new average? Earlier, the average rating was 4. Now we just want to update this. So how can we do that? If we have reviews count, which is 3, let's use this here. Reviews count is 3, but now another review has been added, so it will be 4. And earlier average was 12. Sorry, not average. Earlier rating total was 12 plus new one 5, which is 17. So this will make 4.25. Okay, so average rating will get calculated automatically based on reviews count, and average rating. So I hope this makes sense that we are saving reviews count as well as average rating directly in our properties so that we don't have to go to reviews again and again. So now, whenever we go to our property, there will be just one query because that will one query to our property table for this particular property and it will automatically have the average rating. I hope this makes sense. Now let's implement this. So to implement this, we can use something called as counter cache in Rails. Okay, let's open these links. Basically, we are optimizing code here. Okay, so this example should make sense. Yeah, so what counter cache does is that it will keep track of count of children. Okay, so in our case, property is parent and reviews is children. So it will keep count of reviews for us. Okay, for example, in this there is an article and it has many comments. So what we can do is we can mention in comments we can mention counter cache. Okay, so what it will do is it will provide the counter for all the comments in article directly. Okay, so let's try to implement this and you'll see result at the end. How can we implement this? It's not a library, it's part of our Rails framework itself. We can copy this counter cache. Comments is equivalent to reviews for us, right? So let's go to review and with property, here it is article. Let's implement counter cache and we will do a migration. And in that migration, we will add one column to our property that will be reviews count. So in our property, we are adding reviews count. So let's do this. Stop our server, g migration, add reviews count. Now this naming is important, okay? Because our table name is review, our model name is review here. That's why we are mentioning reviews count. If it would have been, let's say, XYZ, we would have mentioned XYZ S underscore count. Okay. So you can see this notation here. Child table name count. Okay. So child table name for us is review. So reviews count. Sorry, table name is reviews. And what do we have to add here? Add reviews count to properties. Okay. Now in that we will add reviews count integer. Let's do this. Check our migration. And it has properties. We are adding a column which is reviews count REVIEWS and it is an integer. Now let's do this migration. Rails DB migrate. Clear. Now let's see if our properties has this reviews count or not. So Rails C, we'll check this on first property dot first. And in this, we can see reviews count is nil. Okay, because we have done the migration, but the values have not been updated. So how can we update it? It does mention that we can add a migration for this also. Here, reset all cache counters, but for us, we'll keep it simple. Let's exit our console here and reset our database, Rails DB. Because we are in development phase right now, we can reset it easily. Otherwise, we can do this migration also. Clear. Now let's do this. Rails C for console, property dot first, and now we can see there are 10 reviews here. So first part is done. We have mentioned the reviews count. Okay. Now we have to mention average rating. So that's not part of this. For that, we'll have to do some calculation. Let's exit this and let's add average rating, average final rating, because we are taking average of final rating here. If we go to our schema, reviews, we are focused on final rating, which is obviously the average of these ratings. So we will take the average of final ratings to find the review of a property, the rating of a property. Okay. So let's add this again. Rails G migrate, add average final rating to properties, and this will be column name will be average final rating, and it will be an decimal. Enter. Oh, it was Rails G migration, not migrate. I normally they make this mistake. Let's check again. Properties, average final rating, and it's a decimal. Great. So let's do this migration. Rails DB migrate. Again, just think what will be the value of this currently at this point. And if you have thought it should be nil, I think that's correct. Property dot first, average final rating nil, because we haven't calculated it yet. So I'm exiting this again. Let's calculate this. So for that, we need to think couple of things. Let's assume the average final rating has been set. Okay. Like it can be 4.2, 4.3, anything. Now, when will this average rating get updated? Whenever there is a new review or whenever there is a update in a previous review. So we will have to do something similar. After commit, update average final rating on create update. Yeah. So we will call this function, this method definition, and this will get called whenever a new review is added or updated. Nice typo. Okay, uh, so let's do this. How can we find average? Okay, so for that, we can go to our property, go to its reviews, and average them. This can be average rating. Update column. I think we should mention this. No, that's correct actually. I'm just saying, how can we update this? I'm not fully sure here, but we can try self, no, not self. I want to update column of, okay, uh, property dot average final rating, and in that we can mention average rating. This might be wrong, but still, let's just give me a minute. I'll just pause this for a call. Okay, let's run this Rails DB reset. I thought so. There is an error. It should not work. Okay, no worries. What we will do is we will introduce a new function here. Definition update final rating, because it's part of this property, this property model, not the review model. We were anyways doing this incorrectly. And what we can do is let's use this directly. Uh, Update column average final rating. We have to update this, right? So let's create a uh, average rating. Let's use this. Now we just have to mention average rating. So for that, we can use this reviews, similar to what we were trying to do in property. We can use this reviews dot final rating dot average. Yes. So this will give us a average rating. We will use that average rating and save it in our average final rating of the property model. And in our reviews, we will call this function. So when can we call this function? Let's get rid of this. We are already updating our final rating, right? So during that only, we'll call this property dot update final rating, or it should be update average rating. Update average rating. Let's run this one. Sorry, not the console. Ben slash dev. It worked, but we'll have to reset our database because create and update will get called only at that time, and we haven't saved this one. Rails DB reset. Let's see if there are any issues in this. There are. Undefined method final rating. Average final rating. We do have average final rating, right? Yes, average final rating. Reviews don't have final rating. They should have final rating. Yes, they do have final rating. No method found. Okay, it's trying to access a method. Why is it doing it like this? because reviews dot average final rating. Let's try this. This worked. Now let's go to Rails C property first, and we can get the average final rating. Yeah, I was writing this incorrectly. We can pass the parameter for which we want to average this. So it was average of all the final ratings. But we will have to verify this. We have 5 reviews here. Let's increase the size. Exit, clear, Rails C. Let's reduce a size a bit. Property first. Now the average rating is 3.1 something. Let's first dot everything dot to underscore f. This is 3.199, 3.2 we can say, 3.2 roughly, right? Now let's exit this again just to make it a bit clear. Now let's log those reviews. Property dot first dot reviews. Okay, so okay, I will have to exit this because it's going out of a screen. Okay, we know that the average rating is 3.1, right? So now we just have to verify this. So for that, what I'll do is I'll go to our property first, get all the reviews, uh, and in that I'll pluck one particular column which is final rating. Okay, let's do this and we will get these values. So this is 4.8. Let me write it down in our 4.8 plus 3.1, 2.8, 2.1, 3.1, 2.8, 3.1 plus 2.8 plus, we are doing it approximately actually, 2.16 plus 3.16. These are 5 ratings. So we will divide this by 5, which is roughly equals to 3.204. Because we haven't taken the exact values, and our value was also, average value was also 3.2, right? Property dot first dot average final rating 3.2 roughly. So we can see that it's working. I know sorry, exit, clear. This particular video has been a bit confusing, but because it was confusing, let me rephrase everything. First of all, we did not directly calculate the reviews again and again, because if we had done that, we would have encountered n+1 problem, which basically means that for one parent, we are going to its n number of children to get the data. So it would be one n+1 queries again and again. So instead of that, what we did was we saved our average rating and cache counter directly in our database, directly in our property model. I'm just thinking one more thing. Can we do this? Update average. Let me fix this typo first. Update average rating. Update average rating. And in that, instead of taking average of these, can we do something like We already have the average. We multiply it by previous count, but we will need the new review also. I think this is fine. I was thinking of something else, but it's completely fine. So let's repeat what all changes we have done. We wanted to add two things to our property model. One is the reviews count, and another one is the average rating. Okay, average rating so that we can access it directly whenever we want, and reviews count to maintain the cache counter and understand how we can update our reviews again and again. And even we will need that cache counter also. Actually, we will need we will show like 17 reviews, 20 reviews at a lot of places. So we started with cache counter. For that, we added this counter cache. And because it was a review model, we added reviews count to our property model. You can see this in this migration. Reviews count, it was an integer. Once that was added, we got the count in our properties model. And along with that, we added average final rating, which is a decimal, to our property model. Now, whenever a new rating is added, new review is added, or the previous review is updated, we update our final rating. Along with that, we'll update our average rating also. So if we go to our average rating in property, it takes all the reviews, average of all the final ratings, and then it will update the column for us. And now we can access this directly. Let's go to our views, home, index, and instead of 4.8, let's write property dot average final rating dot, okay, sorry, it's a Ruby code. Average final rating dot show two decimal places in Rails Ruby. Two or one we can, I think round should work, but I'm not fully sure here. Okay, number with precision. Round float to two decimal places. Round two. Okay, let's see how it looks. We'll have to restart our server, bin/dev 3.25, 3.42, 3.2. It looks good, and it does make sense. So again, repeating, counter cache and average rating. We added it to our property model and used it directly. That's all for now. In this particular data that we are showing, it is not going to reviews table at all, because we already have these details saved. So we have our optimized code here. That's it for now. Thank you. Consider subscribing. Bye bye.